just makes me want to work there.
I think I'm going to play it one more time as we wait for people to come on in, and then we can get started right at the hour. All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the future of experience. My name is Maria Pedraza. I am a senior account executive with GPJ. So I am going to be moderating this panel for you guys today. I am joined by three incredible, talented GPJers with me here, all here to talk about the future of experience and how we can elevate experiential marketing and technology. So just to give you guys a little bit of information about GPJ and who we are, GPJ is a experiential marketing company. So we strive for excellence in everything we design, deliver, and create. That starts with our agency. So learn more about how we can continue to build upon that legacy through our culture and leadership here today and on our website at gbj.com. For me, I started here at GPJ about 3 years ago, and it's been an incredible journey, and I'm very, very excited to get to speak with you guys. But first, we definitely have some people to thank. We want to thank Techqueria for getting us involved and letting us give you guys a little bit of insight as to what we do here at GPJ. And then we also want to thank Noelle San Jose, our senior DEI specialist. She is incredible, has really helped integrate what diversity and inclusion is for us here at GPJ. So a huge thank you to her and to the Techqueria team. So again, with us, we have three very talented GPJers. We have Emiliano, John, and Deanna. So they're going to introduce themselves and what they do with GPJ and how technology how they include technology in their work every day. So, Emiliano, we can start with you.
Thank you, Maria. First, my name is Emiliano Lage. I use he, his pronouns, and I'm a production coordinator on the special experiences team at GPJ. And in terms of technology and how I use it within my role at GPJ, I feel like I could give the obvious answer and talk a little bit about how I use tech on a daily basis through like apps, Google Workspace, or other like online platforms. I wanted to shift the focus on one of my main responsibilities as a production and event coordinator that mainly requires me to connect and collaborate with the people who manage technology or systems that lie like beyond my level of understanding. Like, for example, whether it's by working with IT staff for AV or tech teams on site or for events, or graphics and digital graphics teams, vendors, or other teammates, to name a few. I'm often responsible for like building and maintaining those relationships with them to make sure that we're leveraging our expertise within those aspects of technology effectively and efficiently. Furthermore, by like understanding like those skill sets that we all bring to the table and knowing how they fit into the overall event or a project that we're working on, we can better resolve the issues and streamline the event production process. And on top of that, I personally also find it helpful to try and keep myself up to date with how clients may use and implement technology or software within their workflows, just because I feel like by understanding the apps and sites or systems that they use allows me to kind of bridge any gaps that might fall within our understanding and ensure a smoother and more effective and cohesive experience for everyone involved working together.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Emiliano. John will you can take it from here.
Hi, I'm John Romero. I am a vice president and account director for George P. Johnson. I've been here off and on for over 24 years, and my role is mostly a sales job here at GPJ, sales and account management. I use technology in my role internally for things like budget tracking, customer resource management, timesheets, and project reconciliation. But how I love to use technology is to wow our clients, because the end consumer is at the front of everything that we do here at GPJ. So we need to find ways to inject feeling into every engagement that we have with those consumers. And a lot of times the best way to do that is through technology. For the business that I work on, that translates mostly to content, like video content, but also to really cool interactive engagements like augmented reality and virtual reality. So that's how I use technology in my role.
Thank you so much, John. Deanna, as an associate creative director, can you give us a little bit of your take on how you use technology?
Yeah, most definitely. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Deanna Arriaga, and I am on the creative side of GPJ. I've been here approximately 2.5 years, and it has been absolutely fun and amazing with all of the things that we have done. And the way that technology comes into my role specifically is we definitely use it to streamline the creative process. That goes from anything from the content development stage all the way to final execution. So the Adobe Creative Suite tools, Figma for UX, UI, everything to the 3D rendering software as well. In addition to that, tapping into the world of virtual reality, augmented reality, and the ever so growing world of AI, and as fast as that is moving at the pace that it is. And that just gives us an extra push into enhancing our storytelling and bringing that brand engagement to life.
Speaking of storytelling, Deanna, you had a really interesting story about your grandmother and her being an experiential marketer, like the OG. Can you share a little bit about what experiential marketing is and how your grandmother motivated you to get into this profession?
Yeah. So, going back to my childhood, my grandmother loved to throw a party. Like, just imagine the ultimate carne asada. Like, she was the one that just did that across the board. It was the party to be at. And so from a very young age, seeing her engage with, the music and the food and making sure all of the generations were kind of taken care of at this party, because of course it's a very multi-generational party. And so it was just seeing how meticulous that she was in her details. And the biggest satisfaction that she had was the emotional connection. It was the emotional connection to her neighborhood, to her culture, to her people, to her family. And, fast forward all of these years, to present day and what it is that we do. For me, it was the ultimate full circle moment, because that's ultimately our goal, is to create that emotional connection with our attendees with all of these events that we put through.
That's definitely something that I've seen just like being at our shows, like just to give everybody a even more perspective. We at GPJ are the agency behind Dreamforce and some of Snowflake, the Snowflake big event that they throw yearly. So it's really like we create some really incredible events and experiences for people of all types of backgrounds. So it's really amazing. It's especially given the fact that you're saying, this is truly a storytelling aspect of experiential. So, John, since you are the most senior person on this panel today, can you share your perspective on how someone can be successful in this industry, and how to kind of join the industry, how to get into this industry?
Yeah, most senior. Does that mean I'm the oldest one? Did you guys ever go to Blockbuster Video?
Yeah, guilty.
So unfortunately, there's really no magic formula on getting into this industry. Of course, it helps if you have a connection. And I think all of our LinkedIn profiles were provided as part of this summit. So, but what I tell my son, who's currently trying to get into this tough job market, is that he can learn some of the same lessons that I learned from my Spanish grandfather, who worked as a service technician for the Chrysler for over 30 years. And the first of those is that if you put the client or the customer first, you're always going to be starting off on the right foot. So if you use that as your North Star, you're probably headed in the right direction. But it also takes things like hard work, the ability to problem solve, to follow up and follow through, and say what you mean and do what you say. It also takes some type, there's no bad questions. Don't be intimidated. When I started working at George P. Johnson, I was an assistant account executive. And I've had a lot of different roles here. But I think that, follow up and follow through is some of the best advice that I received. Also, dealing with my son, as I mentioned, I don't think it's good to drop your resume into a pile and hope that you get a job. I think it's important to do some of the old school things, like follow up with at minimum a phone call, and even better if you can show up in person and have some type of a face-to-face. It's also very important that you find something that you're passionate about, whether that's strategy, design, engineering, production, or even account management or finance. There are parts of each one of those roles that focus on technology. But there's nothing worse than going to a job every day that you're not passionate about. It makes for long hours and a tedious home life. So I would highly recommend that you focus on something that really brings you joy. I think the other part was how to grow in the industry.
Yeah.
What I would do is I would get specific with your manager. So assuming that you've got the job and you've come here, what I talked to this panel about is, like, every year when I went in for a review, my first goal for next year was to get promoted. So again, I started at the bottom of the sales organization, and now I'm up near the top. But what I did was I try to say, hey, what do I need to do to get promoted specifically? So if they said, hey, well, you need to do these 6 things, what I would do is I'd focus my attention and energy over the next 6 months to making sure that I'm hitting all of those things out of the park, and maybe have a touch base along the way. So I think it's very important to stay out in front of your management, and also to make sure that they're specific in the goals that they're asking you to achieve, so that when the year end comes, you can measure yourself up against those goals very easily.
Thank you so much for sharing that, John. I definitely can see myself doing that a lot more, especially now as I'm growing within the company. GPJ has these incredible programs, an award-winning mentorship program, and I was actually nominated to be a part of the mentorship program by our multicultural ERG. So, having these programs can be really, really helpful. But I love the idea of having that not just within, the company, but you having that conversation with your manager, and being very open about where do I want to end up in order to grow within that industry. So thank you so much for sharing that, and I'll definitely keep that in my arsenal. So Deanna, do you have any additional advice that you want to share, or Emiliano?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to double down on John's comments to, ask questions. There's no stupid question in the room ever. That's you being curious. That's you pushing yourself. It's pushing your knowledge. Problem solving for sure. There's, you could have plan A through D or even A through Z set up, and just the most random thing happens on site, and you have to fix it. And so there's just definitely just spur of the moment thinking, how to problem solve. And just speaking with, the creative team that I work with, the absolute best people I've ever known, so talented. And, if there is something that you are curious about growing in, definitely just reach out and have those conversations. The ones that, definitely have that knowledge, they are eager to share and give that knowledge back. And so I know our team definitely is. And it's just amazing to have that community where you have that availability.
Awesome. Deanna, can you speak a little to the activation that you did for Snowflake and how, with your creative team, how you incorporated technology into that?
Yeah, most definitely. So if any of you all were at Snowflake in June, they had the Data Cloud Summit at Moscone in San Francisco. And there was a really fun activation that we worked on with our internal creative technology team, which is absolutely amazing, also small but mighty team. And what it was is there was, the client wanted to have a photo op. Of course, that can mean something, more, there's so many realms that you can do a photo op moment. And so we decided to do the route of augmented reality. So with augmented reality, we are bringing in personalization. So we created 7 templates that the attendee could choose from. So again, we're adding a layer of personalization, which is a notch of us making that emotional connection right there. And so there was, different brand elements. There was animated effects. There was a microsite that we had to build. So using Figma, UX, UI, and bringing that experience also to, we need to make sure that the line moves quicker and it doesn't stand still for too long, because then that's hindering the experience of the attendee, right? So again, all of these little things that you have to think about to make sure that they have a great experience. And then on top of that, there were props that the client provided to us. So an additional layer of personalization. And it was just a really fun moment. People were engaged. They were doing these, random superhero moves. And it was a way for you to transform and personalize and a way that's making a memory that you're able to take home and to share. And what that is that's just bringing that brand engagement, and you're making that connection with the brand. And it was just an awesome experience to see come alive.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I definitely wanted to bring that to this panel because, as we talk about experiencing everything and really talking about that storytelling, we do want to reach or say, call out all of our wonderful teams that work with this incredible technology to just really elevate these experiences for everyone. But beyond that, we also want to create this sense of community, and that personalization really helps with that. GPJ would love to increase the Latino representation in experiential marketing. And so, like I had mentioned before, we do have programs within GPJ as well that are helping to create access and equity, including the mentorship program that Deanna actually and I are a part of. And John was formerly a mentor on as well. And then we have the Ignite coordinator program and employee resource groups. So Emiliano and I are actually leads of one of our employee resource groups. It's called MIND. It's Meaningful Inclusivity for the Neurodiverse. We also have, of course, a multicultural employee resource group called EPIC, which, like I mentioned before, they had the ability to go ahead and nominate someone for the mentorship program, and all of our ERGs get the opportunity to nominate someone. So we have an LGBTQ ERG, as well as what we call GPJ Well, which is pretty much a overall employee health focused ERG. So these are really great ways to create community within the company as well. So, Emiliano, can you speak to how the Ignite program and ERGs have supported your journey at GPJ?
Yeah, Maria, absolutely. I'd first like to say that I do, in fact, know what a Blockbuster is. It was a great time going to those when I was younger. But yes, for context as well, I am the youngest member here on the panel, as I've only been full-time with GPJ for just under a year right now. And just for some more background and context on the Ignite program itself, it's basically a 6-month-long internship or apprenticeship within the company that assigns people to specific departments within GPJ, such as our housing department, integrated production, registration, or my department, the special experiences team, which all solely focuses on different aspects of the industry that we specialize in. And furthermore, after getting our department assignments, we're able to get a much better understanding of how the world of experiential marketing and events works and operates better than potentially other companies might be able to offer. But I think within the program itself, simply by seeing GPJ hire myself and other minorities or people of color is basically the first step to showing me that they're attempting to increase our levels of representation within younger demographics and actually care about their DEI goals and practices that they're setting for the future. Because as for me personally, one thing I find it easier for me to feel more well integrated and comfortable and welcome amongst other fellow employees, especially within the Ignite program, is having those similar backgrounds and shared experiences by other fellow minorities or people of color, regardless of whether or not they might come from the Latino community. And it was nice to see others like me within the Ignite program itself. And overall, it's these experiences that we share together from prior to being at GPJ that ultimately help us build community together and push for the DEI-related change representation that we want to see, especially because I feel as though the tech and our industry can be very stressful and cutthroat and set in its ways almost due to how successful it has been for a long time. And ultimately, I think we tend to have the most power to enforce change and find the right people at the company that allow us to enact the change that we want to see. And even though the adults and people that came before us are the experts, our lived experiences tend to be much different than those that came before us. And furthermore, overall, it's these experiences that help us build community together and push for that change we want. But ultimately, it's still corporate America, and there's always room for improvement. And I'd be lying if I said we were perfect. But I think showing and proving that we're taking the right steps in the right direction shows that where there's intent with the actions that we're taking and that the company is taking. And I'd say that hiring diverse employees is step 0. But what I found helpful and amazing within the Ignite program itself was the fact that we were encouraged to engage with the programs and resources that are offered with full-time employees, which includes the employee resource groups or ERGs that Maria had mentioned earlier. And as a quick recap, some of them are they're EPIC, which stands for Empowered People and Inclusive Cultures, GPJ Well, which focuses on physical, emotional, and mental well-being, GPJ Women, and Open, which is our community for the LGBTQ plus or queer community, as well as mine, the newest one for neurodiverse employees. And so therefore, whenever fellow employees or igniters such as myself had extra time at a spare moment, we would try and join in on calls, speaker sessions, and meetings with the employee groups to see what it's all about and see if they actually do care, And it turns out that was true. It was nice to see them actually take things seriously and be able to put their money where their mouth is, really. And so by the time it came to consider a full-time offer with the company last year, it was easier for me to make a decision to stay with the company, knowing that these groups exist to help foster the interest that we had within DEI and within these spaces, just because it shows that they care. And ultimately, having the groups and ERGs available also allows us to hold on to and continue to share those values that are ingrained and associated with our communities, whether it be through shared empathy for others, the hardworking values that John mentioned earlier, or other small things like the attention to sustainability, which Maria could share a little bit more about.
Oh, for sure. One of my biggest, and I'll look at these Q&As. I am seeing some questions coming in, but I do want to definitely talk about the sustainability part of it, because I, as an immigrant, I came to the United States when I was 7 years old from Colombia. And I know that when it comes to seeing like waste, I don't like to waste anything. If we're going to use it for like 30 minutes and then throw it away, no, thank you. So what GPJ does is incredible. The sustainability piece and the aspect of being able to either donate or find ways to lessen waste in all of our experiences is something that we take very seriously. And I can definitely speak to the actual like things we did at Dreamforce, for example, saying, for example, we had the first year where a lot of our stickers, for example, were these recyclable stickers, or even the amount of things that we donated. Everything that we could was donated right after the event was over. So it really, we donated blankets, things that we had to shelters. We donated office supplies. We had so much going on to be able to give back to the community in which we were, which Salesforce or Dreamforce this year was or most years is in San Francisco. So we were able to give back to that community. And it was really wonderful to, after everything was wrapping up, be able to see all of these piles of wonderful, like pretty much new things going to these shelters and going to different parts of the community and being donated. So we definitely try on that side. And then we didn't, for example, we also didn't have beef or pork at Dreamforce. And with that, we saved, I remember how many, like a lot of water. A lot of water was saved through that, not having beef or pork on site. So all of these little things can really help us give back to the community. And that for me is something that's huge. It stays true to who I am as a person and what my background is like. And that's just me being an immigrant and knowing I don't want to, just nothing can go to waste for me. And seeing that GPJ is really taking that on as a challenge was really amazing. So thank you all for joining us. Now that we have about 5 minutes left in this session, I'm going to go through some of these questions that we have in the Q&A, starting with Ken Madden. Hi, Ken. Ken is our Senior VP of Deanna, he's your mentor. Can you introduce Ken for us?
Yes. So Mr. Ken Madden, as Maria said, he is one of the mentors in the program, and he's actually personally my mentor. So him and I have been connecting since the beginning of the year. It's a 12-month program, and Ken is the SVP, Senior Vice President of our technology program. So anything regarding AI, like he's the one just kind of testing things out, seeing if it is utilized, can be utilized by our team, and just really kind of the one testing the waters before things get introduced to the entire work stream. So.
Thank you, Deanna. So his question was he's curious to hear about one thing that made us feel included and comfortable, and also what is something that would have made the experience even better. I believe this was during Emiliano when you were talking about the Ignite Coordinator program.
Yeah, good question. I think I'd say two quick things. I think one main thing that made me feel included and comfortable was the fact that we have Noelle San Jose, which is our DIB manager, present at the company, just because having her as a resource who we could come to whenever we had any questions, issues, or concerns about something that we saw or just thoughts that we wanted to pass along to the company. It was nice to have someone that's dedicated to this work. that's willing to listen to newer and younger employees, and be able to kind of help us out and finding ways that we could push those ideas forward and finding the right people to make change happen. And the second thing was probably just to see other diverse employees. I mean, it's just nice having other people who have those shared experiences. I mentioned that in my answer, but I think it's self-explanatory.
Thank you. The next question is anonymous. So, and John, I think you'd maybe our best asset here to answer. What are some skill sets that folks should focus on if they're trying to pivot into this industry and beyond?
Well, that's a tough question. It depends which part of this industry you're trying to get into and where you're pivoting from, I would say. The good thing is that this business is so diverse and has such a depth and breadth to it that it could be anything from, I would say attending events and seeing what catches your eye. What are the things that resonate with you when you're on site? Also, things that make it feel like a personal connection for you. And then when you get into this industry, try to make that same connection with you and your customers and everything that you're doing, and make that personal connection that is the most impactful for them. It's a little bit of a roundabout answer, but I think that might answer.
Well, and that actually helps answer the question right above, which was how can one leverage and empower themselves to use their cultural backgrounds to strengthen client campaigns? So make those connections with your client and make it that personal connection in order to have a more well-rounded, campaign and strengthen that cultural background and that relationship between you and your client, and then the client and their customers as well. So Kim Owens had a question. When it comes to internal processes, how are AI tools and platforms being integrated into experiential production workflows? And are there parameters set for when and not to use AI? This question is really, it's different depending on the actual department that we're working from. As far as account operations goes, when I was in account operations, we were using AI in like our creating formulas when we're doing reporting. But it really just kind of depends on what becomes available to us in that moment. John, do you have any additional?
Well, I know GPJ is implementing some AI tools, and AI is revolutionizing how businesses interact with their customers. It makes every interaction more personalized, more efficient, and more impactful. Again, I don't think, like ChatGPT is not going to solve all of your problems, right? It's kind of understanding that we're not dealing with a two-dimensional piece of advertising. We're dealing with a three-dimensional interactive experience for our customers. So I don't know that AI is a great answer for boots on the ground. It will definitely help us in some of the upfront like responses to RFPs and things like that. But I haven't seen it be implemented in a broad scale as far as GPJ is concerned at this point in time. But I know it's on the horizon. We have been contacted about future deployment, especially on the sales side of things.
Yeah, and then on the creative side, I mean, it gives us a bit of a push-off point, right? But it's not in replacement of. So, and then, when you're working with different brands, there's also the legal side of things. And so you have to be just very careful on how you implement AI for sure. But again, it's a great tool to have in your pocket, but definitely, us as humans need to take it to the finish line when it's all said and done.
Yeah. And of course, we have Ken, who oversees that whole side of things. And we do have those guidelines in place now. Ken is working on getting even more work going on with that. So we'll see more coming in the future, but do stay in touch with us. We are LinkedIn. All of us should be in our, I think it's the profiles here. And then if you go onto the Techqueria website, you should also be able to find them there. But thanks for joining us, everyone. And we hope you enjoyed learning about experiential marketing. And you now know a little bit more of how to apply these talents, your talents, to the exciting world of experiential marketing and shape the future of brand engagement. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Bye.